Hurricane Ian made landfall in South Carolina about 3 hours ago as a Category 1 storm. The brunt of the surge and waves hit around Myrtle Beach, and that's the live shot that we've got here for you tonight at 5 o'clock. The hurricane destroyed at least 4 piers in South Carolina today. Right now, more than 200,000 customers are without electricity in South Carolina. Kelly's been tracking it all afternoon, and this storm is weakening, though, right?
Yes, quite a bit. Now that it's made itself inland, it is now just really running into that friction of the land, falling apart. This afternoon, it did hit right at 2:05 over Georgetown, and that was in South Carolina. Now you can see it is down to post-tropical cyclone at this hour. 70-mile-per-hour winds, so still packing a punch, but you can see the large view here with that circulation. And I'll back up the radar here to 2:05. You can see the eye wall really was quite weak at that point. However, still caused those hurricane strength winds around there, the heavy downpours, and that eye wall hitting Georgetown. So here's a look at that a couple hours beforehand, where we had the very heavy rain moving into even as far west as Columbus, South Carolina. It's expected to take a bit of a turn to the northwest, and by Saturday early tomorrow morning, the winds will die down to 40 miles per hour and then just fall apart into an area of low pressure. Now, the winds are still going to be significant as the storm system gradually pushes off to the northwest, and it will have some local impacts here. Taking a look at some of the power outages here along the Carolinas coast here. We have much better situation here than in southwestern Florida, but still many customers without power at this hour. We do have some local impacts when the remnants of Ian move in. I'll have the details on that coming up.
Thanks, Kelly. And right now, first responders are searching the areas in Florida hit hardest by Hurricane Ian. There are more than 1,000 people dedicated to search and rescue along the coast, and they're planning to move inland too. So far, we know at least 25 people lost their lives in this storm.
As you can see from this video on your screen, flooding remains a big concern in Florida. Millions of Floridians are still without power. That hurricane, with 150-mile-per-hour winds, shattered homes and buildings all across the southwest portion of the state.
It's really too sad for me to talk about. Thank you, guys.
They talk about surges all the time. We never thought that this would happen to us.
Now, all week, Hoosiers have been traveling south to help in Florida.
And Lauren Costa caught up with some of them today. What'd they tell you, Lauren?
Well, Scott, Felicia, there are hundreds of Hoosiers down there right now, from first responders to utilities workers. And as you can imagine, they are very busy and don't have much time to talk. But we were able to get a few updates. Many tell me now that the rain and wind is out of the area, they are getting a better look at all the damage. Duke Energy sent us these new photos of the flooding. They say the high water is one of the biggest challenges. Also, the falling debris is making it difficult as well. That's because it makes it harder for these trucks to navigate through these communities. Right now, there are more than 800 employees and contractors down there from all over the Midwest. The operations supervisor in St. Pete tells me his crews have been out there since 5 this morning.
We're still experiencing a little bit of a breeze, so every now and then there's stuff that's falling down as you drive down the road. Traffic's starting to pick up now. The first day or so, it was very quiet. People hadn't returned to their homes yet, but now everybody's starting to come back to assess damage. So traffic's really picked up, but everybody seems to be in good spirits. That's for sure.
And Felicia, I also spoke with the Indiana National Guard this morning, and they're actually on their way back home because they were not needed anymore, and they took off yesterday. So they will be back here in Indiana very soon.
Well, I guess that's a good sign. And with so many other Hoosiers and folks around the country descending upon Florida, that's a good sign.